What's going on, gamer? So I just ran across this article and I'm like, you know what? I should react to this because I'm pretty sure this is a big thing in the industry right now. And obviously, we know it's digital more than ever, but that doesn't mean that you should ignore what it largely used to be. You know what I mean? There's still a lot of people that do physical media. They want game preservation. And then, it just really depends. So, yeah, there could be some pro-consumer um, rage against that. You know what I mean? Because there's people that want the pro-consumer behavior. They feel like this is anti-consumer. Like the GameCube card going on with Nintendo, how that costs money. And we know how they are, man. Even back then, like, doing the GameCube stuff, making stuff always difficult for third-party developers. So they're choosing to do this. But still, I just like GameCube card. Like they're always like, sometimes that company, I'm like, yeah, they're just weird, like in certain ways. And then like they make cartridges when people should be doing CDs. They always do stuff where it's like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Like there's something else. And then we see Microsoft, they've been going against physical media. They weren't getting the sales that they wanted, right? And they started shutting down even stuff in stores, just throwing people key cards. They've been doing it. I mean, I've even looked at this article a while ago about Phil Spencer. Phil Spencer claims getting rid of physical games isn't a strategic thing for Xbox, but it will follow what customers are doing, and right now a majority are buying digitally. He's been said this. This was like, back then. Microsoft's head of gaming has claimed that getting rid of physical media is a strategic goal for Xbox, but its support for disc-based games appears far from unwavering. Thinking about what the way Nadalia thinks too. I'm not thinking about physical media since I'm thinking about the PC mindset and putting games on other platforms. So I don't care about focusing on physical media. I'm going to give them key cards. Then just do key cards. Then what's the point of doing physical? Like it's just to me, it's stupid. We're gonna get into this. I'm gonna explain why. Nintendo has let people know that there's not going to be one if there isn't. But somebody like Microsoft, who's putting the Doom game on PlayStation, has done even the worst. And what is this? Let's get ready. Like, comment, and subscribe. All right. So this is what I don't get. They're putting the physical copy as if you've always had the physical copy in front of people for Doom on PlayStation. And you're not even told there's a key card in there. You're thinking you're buying a physical copy. When you open it up, it's in there. That's deceptive because you're not even communicating to your customer and letting them know that. So let's get into this. There's been a lot of chatter about game key cards on the Switch too, but we'll say two things in their favor. Physical cartridges are expensive. Mm-hmm. And at least manufacturer Nintendo has been upfront about the whole thing. I would agree with them. That's what I said, as honest communication. You can't say the same about the latest round of Bethesda games on PlayStation 5, which are available physically, but may as well be digital exclusive affairs. Doom the Dark Ages has an insulting 85 megabytes of data, including on its Blu-ray. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle isn't much better, with just a 20 gigabyte on the disc. Neither game will play without a significant download. So you basically are back in the Xbox One situation. Remember, like I said, Microsoft has been they've tried this a long time ago. They've been way ahead of this. Their anti-consumer behavior, it's been like this. They just couldn't get away with it at that time, and now it's time to do it again, and here they come back. So it's not like they ever didn't want to do that. You don't do that and set that whole thing up, even though it backfired, and say that was an accident. No, no, no. You wanted to do that. Like I tell people. Um, Indiana Jones, same thing. 20 gigabytes on the disk. Neither game will play without significant download, which means you cannot own this game whatsoever. It has to be, well, I guess if you go on PC and go on GOG, if they sell it on GOG, yeah, right, because I mean, GOG is amazing, right? Who wouldn't have that? I have it right here. I have a ton of games on there. You also get free games on there from Amazon. I mean, there's a lot of great deals. I highly recommend downloading GOG if you don't have it. They're awesome. We all okay, so yeah, neither will play without a download. We all know and accept physical games are waning in popularity, with a recent UK study revealing just 4% of the country's total industry spent was generated by box software. It is what it is. In UK, it is like that. And but for Nintendo, they had the largest base in the world of physical media. Definitely in Japan, where it's 90% Nintendo. They like their physical games. So a lot of them are definitely not going to like that. They're big on game preservation too. There's some people that like looking at and holding something locally. Me, the way I look at it is, and I don't think they're wrong for that. You see what I mean? It's not about necessarily that, but it's more like what's subjective to the customer. The way I look at it is, you don't own anything, period. You're gonna have to let go of all of it one day, anyways. It's a dream. I've told people that. Um, so now, but if you wanted to pass it on to like a family member or something, I guess I can understand that ideology. But you could go any second. You know what I mean? So you have to let go of everything. It's not forever yours. It's a dream. But even then, though, and in the time limit that you have on a dream right now, I'm not gonna death note y'all. Um, you still would like to be more in control. So just in case if something happens, and my thing is with this, just in case something happens, look, guys, you know how I am. I like to be a realist and face reality. What are the chances of Sony service going offline and Nintendo and it's not coming ever back online again? That's incredibly low. That's very, 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 very rare and very, 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 very. I'm very, very doubtful about that ever happening. So it's always going to be there. The problem is that if you're going to be alive for long enough in the gaming industry, will they take that off and then try to resell it to you when you already own it instead of giving you backwards compatibility support? It'll be a while before that could happen, but there are some ways to think that, hey man, I paid you the money. Why can't I do what I want with it to the extent, right? Because you still have to use their hardware, which you agree to the terms and services. Because that's where things get a little bit itchy. Nowadays, I highly recommend people read terms and services because they don't do it. And these corporations know it. They just hit the accept button and they mindlessly go on. And then when something happens to them, they wonder why that happened. And it's like, did you read the TOS? Look, I don't want to read that crap. You know what I mean? Because it's like their Bible or something. You know what I mean? Every creator needs their own rules, and you're gonna get punished because if you don't set any rules or boundaries in games like online games, imagine them getting developer settings. They'd run around and steal off your whole account. Like you got to limit people because you can't trust their ignorance. You know what I mean? They're too corrupt. But getting back to to this aspect, it's bad also for Blu-rays because Blu-rays don't cost shit to make. They're super cheap. And they can hold up to 100 plus gigabytes. I think the Switch cartridges would have been better if Nintendo would have allowed developers to have 100 gigabyte capacity. Because I was reading into that not too long ago. I don't understand why they only made a 64 gigabyte, knowing that you're going to be having the biggest third party support in history. Because this video is not necessarily just about this, but it's also about Nintendo and everybody else is kind of doing this. And I think that they should think about the future and say, you know what, let's just make maybe 128 gigabyte card capacities. Then people can put their whole games on there. So third party developers are choosing to still do that. They could do like Cyberpunk did, but they just don't want to do that. Whereas Nintendo, all their games are on the card. You can actually own it. So that's pretty interesting, isn't it? But getting back to this, but if a publisher chooses to release a physical copy, then it should be very least include a playable build of its game on the Blu-ray itself. I agree. I can understand updates after that. To be clear, we understand how modern game development operates. We know that developers will often continue working on their titles long after they've sent to manufacturer, fixing bugs and adding in improvements. We're not complaining about the existence of day one patches here. Exactly. And if it's online, you have to be online. This is only for single player games. But we are complaining about what Bethesda has been up to, where its Blu-ray effectively act as physical download keys, which entitle you to access to download the game, which is pointless. Why am I getting up, wasting gas, driving to the store to get a fake physical copy that has a download key that I can just download right there and not have to waste all that time? It's just stupid to me. It doesn't make any sense. You don't have anything physical, so why are we even doing physical? At this point, it shouldn't exist if it's not physical. That's what I think about it. This type of activity is different from a patch or update. It's outright hostility against the expectations consumers have of boxed games, and I agree with them. And there's no excuse for it. There really isn't. Blu-rays cost pennies. And if a publisher has decided to ship a boxed version of its game, then it clearly sees value in having its product on the store shelves. Exactly. As we alluded to earlier, at least Nintendo can make the argument that its cartridges are expensive to manufacture. They actually are, and with publishers allegedly only offer 64 gigabytes, like you know what you're dealing with pretty much at that point. We can somewhat understand the influx of game key cards. But these same rules don't apply on the PlayStation 5 or Xbox, where a Blu-ray can store up to 100 gigabytes and cost peanuts to produce. It costs them nothing. This is even worse, is what he's saying, and he's right. Microsoft gaming boss Phil Spencer, who oversees subsidiaries like Bethesda, predictably played to the crowd a few years ago, urging for industry-wide game preservation. And that's what I was telling people, like, there's a lot of stuff about this. So we go to 2021, Xbox, Phil Spencer hopes for industry-wide preservation. Spencer wants a future where the history of games is preserved and accessible. And and there's going to be people going to be mad again, because it's like every time he says these things, they never follow through with it. And it's true, they don't. So he could be seen as a liar to a lot of people, and I understand that. But I told him, too, at the end of the day, He also has somebody to answer to, so he may want that. But if the boss says no, it doesn't matter because it's not Xbox anymore. And this was back in 2021. So Spencer wants to see legal emulation, allowing players to access any older games. They added 70 games to backwards compatibility program, while noting that this will be the last batch of games added due to legal constraints. Going over here to Jez's article, multiple sources tell me that Microsoft is laying off the entire internal custom support teams for Activision Blizzard games. They always do anti-consumer behavior. Save a few. Microsoft will outsource the rest to external companies aboard. Activision Blizzard was one of the few games pubs with a high-quality internal customer support team. Microsoft has also shut down departments dedicated to bringing Xbox games to physical retail, which if you've seen the digital-only Xbox console leaks, well, you can get an idea where Microsoft is going here. Like I said, they're going to do a PC model. The Xbox console is done. Never again. That's how Satya is thinking. I want to make a themed Xbox PC. Digital only, and maybe you get the Steam and all that doing. If you do that, you still will be somewhat remedied in a way, but I hope that you would have stayed pro-consumer all the way. But now you're doing this key card stuff, jacking up the price. You see what I mean? Here it comes again. And I was trying to tell y'all it's around the corner that's who they really are. The Game Pass stuff is just to make themselves look better. And you are taking that benefit, but it still makes Microsoft try to look like some type of saint. But really, look at the behavior that continues. You start to realize that no, and no. Of course not. $1 trillion corporation. What the hell do you expect? Yeah, let's not be naive. So, yeah, a huge amount of community managers have lost their jobs across the company. Less community building for Xbox games in Microsoft's future, it seems like. Note, reducing retail teams doesn't confirm Microsoft is quitting physical retail for Xbox games. They can outsource and might be consolidating here, but don't run with Xbox is quitting physical based on this. And then you got Zooey over there. No certain AAA plus digital shares on Xbox these days, so it's not too surprising. Indicative of how next gen will be for sure. So, like, we get the idea of just like taking a look at a lot of this stuff, right? And just realizing things, right? So, yeah, man. I mean, this person is mad at Sony where I'm like, but Microsoft is the one that's doing that though. He's thinking that Sony should have the power to say, no, if you want to put Doom on my console, you need to make a physical copy, but they're not going to do that because they're going to take the easy money and not complain. They're not going to even try to get involved at all. They don't care. They don't, because Sony's mostly digital. You know what I mean? The whole damn industry is, and PC's 100%. But they have options of like, like I said, GOG, or maybe like making a copy of the game in some way. There's always some way on PC where you could do some type of game preservation. So I can kind of get that idea of, if you want to look at it that way, it's a little bit different. You can get cheaper keys too, and yeah, people can also be pirates. It just really depends, because like I said, corporations try to steal from you as well. So, I mean, there's a reasonable aspect to that to a degree that I will agree with on people. But if nobody did something wrong and they still do that because there's a lot of people that have always done that, then you should get the idea because it's been like that back then. So, yeah, there we have it. So let me know what you guys think about game key cards. Like I said, at the end of the day, the reason why I don't get too mad at this, though, I understand. You know what I mean? It's like I don't complain about certain things Nintendo does either, and Xbox and PlayStation, because there's things to me that are not a big deal because I'm like, you're crying about a bricked console, but are you really going to get bricked? 99.9% of people are never going to experience that. It's like the people who've been on PlayStation 5 since the beginning, PS4, PS3, 360, Xbox One, Nintendo Wii, right? You know what I mean? Just all the way back. They've never ever got banned. 99 point. You want to know why? Because they're not losers. They're not trying to cheat. They're not trying to do something nobody else is doing. They play on the same even field as everybody else. You see what I mean? That's called equal ground. Mm-hmm. Is that hard to understand? So I'm not mad at them breaking people's concepts because you want to be a shitty person and fucking cheat. Or you want to steal stuff. Or other people get up and work and pay for it. I can understand if you want to go against anti-consumer behavior. That's okay. I have no problem with that because I'm against anything anti-consumer. But what I don't like is, like I said, trying to make it seem like somebody's doing something terrible. It's like, bro, most of the people that get that console are never going to experience that. You try to make it seem like they're going to do something terrible. No, you know what they're preventing, just like any other console. But I find it funny that I haven't seen anybody except me say anything about Xbox having the same brick rules and PlayStation. Yet they only focus on one other platform. It's just kind of weird to me. And they support those other platforms that do far worse behavior. I support all because if something is stopping me from buying something, then it has to really be terrible. Like you have to really do something that's really going to affect me daily. Where I'm like, yeah, I'm not supporting that. But when I realize that I see the same devs I've always loved that I want to support, I'm not going anywhere. I'm supporting great video games, and they're going to give me a good time, and I'm going to get my value out of it. And there's nothing anybody could do to stop that unless they did something terrible to where I was like, yeah, I don't want to support you anymore. You know how terrible Sony's been lately? I still support them though. Same thing with Microsoft because the stuff that they do, it's like you're not ruining my gaming life. I still have so many options. So I just think at the end of the day, it some people just need to stop hating and just need to grow up. You know what I mean? And stop crying like children about stuff that's never going to really affect you. Unless you are just a shady person to where it's like, I got banned. Yeah, I wonder why. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Where it's like 99.9% of the people, nope, nothing's wrong. I had a good time the whole 7, 8 years on the console. Never experienced any of that. All the stuff y'all were complaining about never once affected me. Let's talk ratio here. You know what I mean? So, yeah, and I'm sorry for y'all that are digital that are going to have to be facing this hell because really the biggest anti-consumer behavior is against digital people. I mean, against physical owners a lot lately. And I'm very sorry to hear that. So, I can understand why you guys feel the way that you feel, even though it doesn't affect me because I love digital. I don't want all that stuff around. You know what I mean? Sitting around like I like to be space efficient. And I'm under the enlightenment of understanding this is a dream and that I have to let go of all of this. I can't take it to me on the other side or with me on the other side. So I got to let it go anyways. It's not a big deal to me. What would be a big deal is if I bought something and then through that generation, you screwed me over and took away from me and then tried to resell it in the next generation. Something like that. Okay, then we have some problems now. See, that's different. But when it's like 20, 30 years have passed and it's still around and it's like, yeah, okay, bro. Anyways, all right, like, comment, subscribe. Y'all have a great day. Let me know what y'all think about this once again. And if you own physical copies, I want to hear what you think. All right, y'all. Peace out. Stay cool.